Have you ever blamed yourself about something that happened and you felt it was as a result of something you did? Like maybe it was your fault. For example, maybe you had a terrible divorce or a divorce generally, and somehow you blamed yourself and you felt it was your fault. Or maybe your parents divorced when you were younger and you felt that you were the reason for that divorce. Another example, maybe it was down to you to give a pitch that will determine whether you land this big contract for your company. Everybody was depending on you, and unfortunately you did not deliver, you lost the contract, and you blame yourself because of that. If you've ever been in a situation where you blame yourself for something, if you're not careful, you can begin to give a meaning to that experience. And because it happened with you, if you're not careful, you can begin to ascribe a meaning that you are not enough. And that's why that situation happened. You're not good enough. That's why your company lost the contract. You're not good enough. That's why your parents divorced. Or you're not good enough. That's why he left. Now, there's a risk with that. And the risk is the fact that you're bringing the weight of that experience to everything else that you touch, consciously or unconsciously. Maybe actually you went through a situation and it was your fault. Maybe you did not do due diligence, and because of that, you lost everything. Maybe you did not research properly the business. You went into it and you lost a lot of money, and maybe those are mistakes that could have been avoided. Maybe you made some bad choices, and as a result, you are reaping the consequence of that bad decision. So maybe this time around is not just you ascribing meaning to something that maybe you're not enough. Maybe genuinely you made a mistake and you did not do what you were supposed to do. But in all of this, and in both situations, whether people said to you you were not enough, or whether you ascribed that to yourself, you interpreted an experience and gave it a meaning that you were not enough. Either way, whatever has happened, whatever the negative situation was, when you ascribe a meaning to a negative experience, a meaning that says that you are not enough, you unconsciously bring that perspective into everything else that you touch. You bring that feeling of not enough into your parenting. You will bring that feeling of not enough into your finances. You will bring that feeling of not enough into relationships. You're going to bring that feeling of not enough into your own personal happiness. So the risk you get and the risk you take by ascribing meaning to a negative experience of not being enough is the fact that you bring that feeling of scarcity, that feeling of not good enough into other areas. So it may be the result of having lost a contract that you really hoped for, everybody depended on you for, and from that negative experience you automatically created this meaning of not being enough. And now you're running with it and it's seeping through other areas of your life. What I want to remind you of this, what I want to remind you is this, that irrespective of what happens, irrespective of whatever the situation was, whether it was your fault or not, you are enough. You know why? Because your being enough is not dependent on what went wrong. It's not dependent or even what went right. It's the fact that you are enough just because you exist. You are enough because you are here. You're worthy because you are here. So it doesn't matter what you did wrong. It doesn't matter what other people have said to you. None of that counts, because the feeling of enoughness is not based on things. It's not based on the fact that you need to have had this. You need to have done this right. You need to be this kind of parent. You need to be this kind of entrepreneur. You need to be this kind of professional. You need to have achieved this. If you were enough, then he wouldn't have left. If you were enough, your parents would not have divorced and gone their separate way and left you. If you were enough, your friends should have stuck around. No. It has nothing to do with being enough. You are enough simply because you are here. You are worthy simply because you exist. So no matter what has happened and no matter what you're going through, do not ascribe a meaning that you are not enough to that experience. And yes, all hell may break loose. And yes, you may actually blow up the deal. And yes, you may burn the cash and no businesses come out of your endeavor. And yes, your friends may leave for whatever reason, even though you try to keep them together. And talking about motherhood and being a parent, you know, sometimes your children may not turn out the way that you expected them to. Maybe they haven't yet, not necessarily that they won't, but maybe they haven't turned out the way you expected. With all of your hard work, with all of your teachings, with all of your modeling a positive example to them, yet they have gone the wrong way. Maybe they're doing drugs, maybe they're incarcerated and in prison, or maybe they're just not the kind of kids you want them to be. And now somehow you ended up saying to yourself, you know what, I'm not a good enough mother. That's why my kids turned out this way. Sister, don't do that. I want to remind you that you are enough, and that your being enough has got nothing to do with whatever is happening around you. You're enough simply as an individual, simply because you exist. And I'll give you an example. I remember when my daughter was in year 3. Right now she's in year 9. She's going to year 9. And I remember when she was in year 3 and I was practicing the spellings with her. And I was so keen for her to get her spellings. You know, come on now, we've got to do it over and over again. We did it over and over again. For me, she had to have 100%, but not just once. She had to do it over and over again. And at one point she said, Mommy, I'm really tired now. Can I stop? And I said, no, baby, you got to do this. You've got to go over this. You got to know it. And I was really pushing her for her spellings, for her reading. And I was just, this particular day, and we were just going over this, and she was just going, you know, Mommy, I'm tired. She said that, and I said, yes, I know, but we're going to go through this. And by the time she was done and she had gone to bed, I stopped and I kind of processed the experience, because I felt, no, Christina, that's not right. Yes, you're giving to excellence and you want things done excellently, but I think something is not right here. You pushed her a little too hard. And I started to process it and to dig deep and just to do the work. And I realized that I was pushing her not just because I wanted her to excel at it. I sure did. But I just didn't want her to fail any of her spellings. And you think, yeah, but that's a good thing. Yeah, but at what cost though? Because she had got it over and again. She had got it. Why didn't I just stop? What was the driving? Why did I keep pushing for her to do it over and over again? Somewhere behind me was, goodness, I cannot afford for her to fail. Because if she fails, then it looks bad on me. If she fails, that means I failed. And that means I'm not a good enough mom. That was what it boiled down to. So all of that pushing, and don't get me wrong, you know, I aim for excellence and I totally will say go for excellence. But if there's something more to that excellence, if it's not a healthy striving, and if it's not a healthy push for excellence, if it's one that, you know, where it almost feels like there's a reason why you have to do this, and at all costs, it doesn't matter what goes down, you have to get this, then you want to kind of think, is that healthy striving or is there something else? So in this case, it was the fact that the whole process was, I didn't want her to fail, because if she didn't do well in her test, then you know what, then I have not done well. It means I failed, and if I failed, it means I'm a bad mother. And that was the meaning I ascribed to her not completely passing her spellings. Yes, she would get 100%, but so what if she got 90? I mean, if I supported her in, so what happens? Does that mean I failed? What if she got less than that? Does that mean I failed? What if she actually failed the whole spelling test? Does that mean that I failed? Does that mean I'm not a good enough mom? Of course not. It probably means that I need to work with her better, understand what her strengths are, what time of the day should we do spellings, you know, adjust her schedule, my schedule, and work with it and make some positive adjustments. But not to ascribe a meaning that I am not good enough, I have failed as a mother, and as a result I'm not good enough. So what are you going through right now? If you're going through something that has blown up in your face, whatever it may be, a relationship, a job, a business, you didn't get the promotion, you didn't make partner, you wanted a career change, you wanted a raise in your income, you expected that by this time in your life you should be at a certain point, and you're not there yet, or maybe you're not even close to it yet. And as a result, the meaning you have ascribed to that experience is, I'm not good enough. Today, that's what I want to dispel, to say that you are good enough. Absolutely you are. Because whether you are enough is not based on any prerequisites. Whether it's, you know what, I've got everything I need, you know, I've got the car, the house, I've got the relationship, ooh, then I'm good enough. Or, you know what, I blew it, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, I failed, I'm not achieved, so I'm not good enough. Irrespective of whether it's a positive or negative, irrespective of what is going on, especially when it's a negative situation, do not ascribe a meaning that you're not good enough because of what you have not achieved or what you have done wrong or what is happening around you. Because I want to remind you today that you are worthy, and your worthiness and your enoughness is not based on anything. You are enough simply because you exist. And I'm going to give you an analogy. Hold on, I've got it. Hold on. Analogy. Fantastic. Well, I'm going to give you an analogy, something that you probably have heard so many times, but I'm going to get this £5 note. See, I could have made it 20 pounds. Why did I make it 20 pounds? That would have made it a lot better, but whatever. It's clean and nice. It's £5, and this is something you probably are familiar with. See the value of this £5? You probably have heard it over and again, but I want to remind you, for every time that you feel not good enough, I want to remind you about this. And remember this analogy. Live with it, because your worth is not dependent on what's going on around you. Your worth is simply because you're human, because you're here. You're living and breathing, and automatically that makes you worthy, and that makes you enough. Nothing else. Take it from me. So this is what I want you to remember. That's £5, right? You know, I can go get myself a cup of coffee, I can get a sandwich, you know, I can do a lot of stuff with this. But imagine that it's nice and clean, and I squeeze it. Oh my gosh, that's my £5. Like, what? And imagine that this squeeze was every time you failed, every time you were not a good parent, every time you screamed at your daughter, and every time your behavior fell short of what you expected, every time that the relationship didn't work out, again, for the 10th time or for the 100th time, you know, that's it. Every time you blew a contract, you started a business and it didn't go right, you know, people treated you badly, maybe you were abused, maybe you were assaulted. You know, all of those negative situations, they told you were not good enough. Maybe people said, you know what, you're not going to amount to anything, like give up. Whatever that is, imagine every time that happened, that was this £5 being squeezed in every shape and form. And I can go forever just squeezing it every time something negative happens to you. Okay, we're done squeezing. It's rumpled. It's looking worse than when I first had it. Can I still get a cup of coffee with this? Can I still go and get myself a sandwich? Can I still get lunch? Yeah. Because no matter how rough I made it, no matter what this £5 has been through, it does not devalue it. It doesn't change its worth. I'm sure, I hope I've been saying that right, you know. I'm Nigerian, British, Nigerian, whatever the mix is. And my pronunciations don't always come out right. But hey, it does not devalue the worth of it. It's still £5. I'm still going to be able to get everything I could possibly have got before I squeezed it in now. It means that no matter what you've been through, all of that situation, your worth is still the same. You know, it's not changed. So it doesn't matter what the divorce was about. It doesn't matter the fact that you had a divorce, or you messed up, or you didn't get the promotion. You should have been way ahead right now compared to where you are. You should have achieved more in your life than what you have achieved right now, you know. You should have had the husband, the car, you know, the illness, the son, whatever it is. it does not change the fact that you are still worthy, you are still beautiful, you are still great, and that your value is still the same. So I want to remind you today that you're worthy, that you are enough, and that your enoughness and your worth, it's not dependent on anything you've done wrong or anything that has gone wrong or whatever they told you. Your worth, your enoughness is simply because you are here, and the fact that you're human on the earth and you're alive and you're breathing makes you worthy, makes you worth it all, makes you enough. So I want you to go out with that understanding. I want you to go out this week with that understanding. And whenever you face a difficult situation and a challenge, I want you to remember, I'm enough. If something goes horribly wrong and people accuse you and tell you all sorts of things, or maybe you make a mistake yourself, or maybe things don't work out the way you planned it, and you are almost tempted to think, oh my goodness, I am so bad, I'm so terrible, I'm not good enough at this. I want you to hold yourself back and think, no, I'm enough. I'm going to look at that situation from a different perspective. How can I be better next time? How can I make changes for improvement? And remember the example I gave about my daughter. If she had not done well, all we would have needed to do, instead of saying, well, you know what, I'm a bad parent and I'm not good enough, what I can instead do is, okay, let's see what will work better. Are we doing the spelling at a different time can we do that at a different time of the day? Is there a pattern that I can use with her that she would understand her spelling? We can look at a different strategy to get the job done. But I do not have to ascribe a meaning of not being enough because something went wrong. And that's what I want you to go out with this week. Of course, it's Sunday. So for the rest of your week, I want you to remember that you are enough, and your enoughness is independent of any situation, whether positive or negative. You're just enough as a whole being. So whenever something happens and you're tempted to feel ashamed, or you want to hide and feel guilty or feel small, my dear lady, don't do that. Sit up straight, square your shoulders, and then just remind yourself, I am enough. The situation does not define me. The situation does not change the fact that, like that 5 pound, my value remains unchanged. I am still worthy, irrespective. I am going to look at it, find a different way to get around the situation, but I am still worthy. And that's what I want you to walk with this week. You are worthy. You are enough, no matter what you are. Okay, I hope that has helped you today. And as always, I am always going to be here. As always, I'm always going to be here. Did you hear that? Always, always. Anyway, I'm going to be here always, every Sunday. So join me. If you've not already subscribed, I want you to click the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you'll be the first to be notified when a new video comes out. And come on now, join this community of strong, beautiful women. I'd love you to be a part of it. Follow me on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, that's it. I'm there. Stop over and say hello, and I'd love to know that you are part of the family. Let's do this thing together, supporting each other and being strong and just moving our world forward and pushing boundaries, and just living great lives. I am so keen about women finding their voices and just living big and playing big. So come on now and join the show. For everything in Christiana Sanibel's world, go over to my website, christianasanibel.com. There you'll find free resources, sign up for coaching, and any event that is coming up. You probably will want to be the first to know. But anyway, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what you think. How is this all working for you? Being enough. What is your situation? What have you struggled with about not being enough? What did you take away from today's video? Plus, what's your word of wisdom? What's your word of wisdom? Yeah, for other people who are listening and who are watching this as well, what can you share? So leave me some information in the comment section. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think and your word of wisdom, because other people can benefit from it. But anyway, until I see you on Sunday at the same time, have a fantastic and have a great week ahead of you. See you soon.